readings that we do, kind of the guides take you to your big stuck place, maybe the traumatic event or events or lifetimes that you experienced as a soul, or maybe it's ancestral history, that where did you get stuck? And what is that? The Pleiadians call it your old lower vibrational emotional debris. We call it in this work factory settings that you wrote in with. It's not who you are now. It didn't come from this lifetime, but it's repeating. It's like a vibration of whether it be unworthiness, feeling unlovable, feeling like a failure, feeling that you're always betrayed, people always abandon you. But you're riding around with this song that's singing out of you subconsciously. And so the whole idea is to clear that.
Enjoy this Wild Soul Gathering production. I'm Dr. Sandra Marie. Pour yourself a really tall glass of spiritual curiosity and join me for the Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious podcast. In the spirit of happy hour, cheers to some new insights, peace, revitalization, and perhaps an aha moment that may change your life. So to get started, I want to bring on Melissa and Charlotte Abell. Abel. I always say Abell, and I know it's Abel. So when I tell myself not to do it, the brain does it subconsciously anyways, right? Isn't that how it works? So I'm really excited. You guys are both just so gifted and wise, and Melissa and Charlotte is a mother-daughter team. And I just have to tell you, they both just ooze love and positiveness all the time. Like, I don't even think you need to speak, and I can feel your positiveness. So welcome to the summit.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. So good.
Yeah, we are so excited and so honored and just really happy to be here. So thank you. And thank you for this incredible summit. And I can't even imagine what it's taken for you to bring it together and then to be present and to be such an amazing listener and interviewer. We're just in awe. We bow down. So
well, thank you. That's very nice. It certainly has been, as with everything, there's been a lot of lessons in it, but I will say they've been positive lessons. And I know we're on the last day 3, but I'm already working on what the next one's going to look like and all the improvements and other things we can do. But that being said, let's finish up with day 3, right? So Melissa, you're a teacher. Like, introducing both of you guys, you have just such a long list of a resume, if you want to call that, but you're a teacher, you're a student of metaphysics who's been schooled at the Arthur Findlay Spiritual College in England. And you're active in astrology, the tarot, numerology, Reiki, angelic studies, and spiritual mediumship. Charlotte, your list is right up there with a little bit more.
I had more time.
Well, there you go. You're an expert astrologist. You're an event speaker. And you have been relentless, and I mean relentless, about pursuing metaphysical things in astrology since the 1960s. Like, God bless you.
Well, thank you.
That's just amazing. And you're active in yoga, spiritual mediumship, channeling, teaching, past life regressions, just to name a few. I'm excited to have you both here. I know that we're going to be talking a lot about astrology, some past life, some soul awakening kinds of things. So how did you guys want to get started with this?
Well, I think we were talking and we had a lot of discussion about this presentation, and what we found, I mean, we've just been in the spiritual game, as it were, for decades, and what we found is there's an acceleration, there's a quickening lately. So it seems like all the information on what you read or what books you read, even the old ones, everything is leading to awakening to greater levels, higher levels of consciousness. That's where it's at. And so the awakening of humanity that we used to think might be a possibility, the guides that we work with and teachers say, oh, it's happening. It's not even a will they, might they are. And so we're in the thick of it. And so they really say that it is now about raising your awareness and really living from these greater levels of consciousness. And so that's where we really like to start. And I refer to my mom, sometimes her nickname is Coco, so don't mind me if I say Coco. Would
I
you
will
like,
respond.
yes, would you like to jump in with anything about awakening?
No, I think that that actually is a perfect way to start the day, and to really tie up the importance of that with the summit is that this is happening. And I have this podcast, Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious podcast, and a lot of the more recent shows is talking about the old ways of manifesting, the old energy. So everything that we have spent the last decade sort of immersed in and growing is falling by the wayside on some level, and it's all up leveling. So it's exactly what you guys just said. That being said, I'm going to gray myself out. I'll be in the background. And if you guys want to talk, or do you want me to stay on the screen with you and be part of it? Your
I
call.
mean, yeah, we'd love you to stay.
Okay.
You will. Yeah, jump in and it's going to be like all three of us just kind of bouncing off one another.
Oh,
But
beautiful. That's
yeah.
perfect.
So what about you, Coco? Do you have anything you want to lead with on the awakening to greater levels of consciousness?
So I watched the video that you just showed, the park bench, and I thought the summation of everything that we're about to bring is beautifully shown in the park bench. And I just thought, the planetary energies are helping right now to like open us up to higher consciousness or higher frequency. And it's all, just flowing so beautifully. And to start off with the park bench, it's like, whoa, that's great.
Yeah.
Great.
I am just so passionate about this and getting the word out on it, because we all know the more of us who are doing this,
Yeah.
bigger the energy, and what a difference. And Coco, my grandma's name is Charlotte, so it's like it's sort of funny. I don't meet many Charlottes. So it's a pleasure to meet you. But what is amazing to me, and like I constantly say this, like you can't make this stuff up. Like the astrology is unique. There's so many once in a lifetime events that are happening that it clearly was all designed, and it's an opportunity. I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion. I think everything is designed for it to happen, but we still have to play our role in being a part of having it happen.
Yeah, it's beyond thought now. We all have the thoughts of what we can do. We were trained, and now it's like, do it.
Yeah.
Make it happen in Earth. And that's what the park bench was about. It is the energy is there to help us move into this new time, and the planetary energies, basically, with the planet Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. That's the new time. We had all the songs about the age of Aquarius and all that, and now we are here, but we're babies. This is the beginning of a gigantic cycle, and how exciting and inspirational. We are the visionaries and the babies coming out with their eyes wide open and trying to figure out, well, how do you walk and talk and do these things? So it's exciting. It's just wonderful, wonderful. And how we all chose to be here.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys, because that honestly was the purpose of the whole summit. Was there's so many people who are curious, and they're feeling it, they're feeling nudged, but they're not exactly sure what they're feeling and what those nudges are. And you're right, it's all about action at this time. So you both are able, I think, to help give people possibilities of what that action could look like, depending on what's speaking to people. So thank you.
Definitely. So it's wonderful, because the work that we're involved in, we call soul awakening. And it's not about, our soul needing to wake up. It's about our soul wanting to wake us up to our greater possibility, our wholeness, our potential. So everything starts with the individual. And that's one of the main tenets about this time, because we're here to offer really easy, simple exercises and ways to lean into higher dimensional frequency consciousness that our guides have given us and we practice with. But one of them is, they said, now whatever you would want to see in the world, you have to first give yourself. So if you want to have peace out there, if you want to have abundance, they're saying you have to first take that into yourself. And they said even praying I think typically we, from our heart or from our mind, would say a prayer for someone. They're saying if you want someone to have well-being and healing, first you picture it within yourself in every cell of your body. And once you've maximized that feeling for yourself in every cell, then you are ready to broadcast it out. And then you can send it wherever you like. And so they're saying otherwise, don't waste your time. It's like give it to yourself first. So it starts with all of us as individuals, as a broadcast frequency of what we want to have out in the world. And so that being said, they're also saying, look at life, look at where we've been used to third dimensional consciousness. And they're saying that's like the first level of a video game where you come in, you don't have a wardrobe, you don't have magic, you don't have power, and you have this basic map. You're trying really not to get killed. You're in survival mode. And so they're saying you don't rail at the video game level 1 to say, I wish this didn't, exist here, because that's just part of level 1. And they're saying that's like third dimensional consciousness. There's always going to be war, poverty, strife. And so it's not about looking out where we are in the world and saying, why can't there be peace? Because we're not at the consciousness for it. So the foregone conclusion, the only thing to do, let's raise ourselves into these higher dimensions. And that's where love rules. There is no war. It can't abide. That's where there's unity, wholeness. There's no separation. And that's where life as we want it exists. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So they're saying, it's a really good time to embrace the crucial understanding that our beliefs, our thoughts indeed create and perpetuate our reality. So they're kind of saying, they see a lot of us with really beautiful intentions, that we want no war, don't want war, can't stand war. And what are we focusing on? War, because there's no not. It's like you're either focusing on what you desire or what you don't want. And whatever you're focused on is the basic law of attraction 101, you get more of. So they're saying, this is crucial. And it's funny because a lot of the old books that we read ages ago, like Conversations with God and the Pleiadian Barbara Marciniak, even the Celestine Prophecy, everything says, yes, your thoughts and beliefs create your reality. And how do you know what your thoughts and beliefs are? How do you feel? Your feelings will always inform you of your thoughts and beliefs. Are you feeling good? Is life wonderful? You're in a good spot. I mean, that's really basic. So they're just kind of saying, dial it in. They always marvel at us because they say you always go into a restaurant and order off a menu exactly what you want. Wait for it to come, it comes. But they're like, when it comes to just daily life, you don't do that. You're just saying, whatever, bring it on. I'm not going to dial it in. So they've taught me each day, almost like you're dialing in a radio frequency. Whatever you want for the day, joy, harmony, peace, right place, right time. And then I lock it in. So those vibrations have to look for you that whole day, and you can change it up all the time. It's tremendous fun. So just these little bits of things that we could do. And I know that one of the quotes from one of my favorite books that Barbara Marciniak wrote, Channeling the Pleiadians, the book is Path of Empowerment. Learning to recognize and read frequencies or levels of consciousness offers you a profound new form of liberty and freedom. Anyone can activate the innate ability to wake up and experience life from a more expansive vista. So this is what we're doing. And the payoff is life is amazing. It's freeing, it's abundant, it's peaceful, it's joyful. And so that's why we want to do this. And they keep saying, this is absolutely the time. And so I know Earth is where it's at. Coco, do you want to talk a little bit about that, and the human body is where it's at? This is our
It's where it's at for sure. We had done years ago, it started with master alignment, which was just coming onto Earth. It was a magnificent teaching, and it worked with higher frequency energy that came in and looked into bodies to see, well, where is this person stuck? And the energy would be given. But the bottom line was, this was before DNA. The DNA had been discovered, and it's 97% junk. Okay, can never change it. And of course, now we know there is no junk in the DNA, and you can change it because it's your living library. It's where you have your whole entire history, not just you, but of humanity. It's all in there. And so working with this, it's just like this work that we did was to go in and ferret out, like, where are you stuck, and bring in the energy to clear that. It was a process. And we're now at the point where the process doesn't have to dredge up everything. But when you first started something, that was how you did it, and use the energy that the guides in high frequency had you take care of that yourself. So it was this magnificent way of seeing that the body is your ticket. If you don't have a body, you ain't here. So it's like to value life and value the body. And the energies of astrology, if you want to look at it that way, they're coming in now to really help us become aware of Earth body, because this is where we live. This is where the action is. And it's like one of the planets that has been in Taurus, which is Earth energy, the mama, come into Mother Earth, and it's been Uranus, which is a planet that says, I will awaken you. And whatever it takes to awaken you, lightning bolts, earth changes, anything and everything that's happening with Earth. And how prominent is climate change? How prominent is the weather and what's going on with Mother Earth? And this planet is the disruptor, and it will be there for another year or so. And then it's going to move into another sign. But while it's here in Taurus, I personally come into the point where just to go outside and see the beauty of Earth, and to feel the softness of Earth as you walk barefooted, after a rain, and thank God we got some rain. So it's just to appreciate life, and life in all of its majesty and its magic and the miracles of life itself. It just brings in the heart to value Mother Earth even more and more and more. So everything is working to help us shift into this new time. And if you want to look at, how we all looked at 2012 as being like the end of the world and then a new world, and basically it was. Because from that point, you really, really moved into this new time, and we're baby stepping. I mean, it wasn't some gigantic big boom that came down and hit us on the head. It's like, you're in Earth now. Let's see how we can go. And it all, I guess, if you remember the harmonic convergence of 1987, that was a 25 or 35-year stretch of time that said, will humanity change in these bodies, or will we have to wipe you all out and start over? And we're doing it in this body. And that's why, to raise the frequency now, that's what the whole game is. And how playful, how exciting, how joyful to know that, yeah, we're going to make it. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, so exciting. And about the DNA, I mean, the readings that we do, kind of the guides take you to your big stuck place, maybe the traumatic event or events or lifetimes that you experienced as a soul, or maybe it's ancestral history, that where did you get stuck? And what is that? The Pleiadians call it your old lower vibrational emotional debris. We call it in this work factory settings that you wrote in with. It's not who you are now. It didn't come from this lifetime, but it's repeating. It's like a vibration of, whether it be unworthiness, feeling unlovable, feeling like a failure, feeling that you're always betrayed, people always abandon you. But you're riding around with this song that's singing out of you subconsciously. And so the whole idea is to clear that. And so there was a study done with children. It was a published article in the Washington Post in May. And it was one of their most controversial and successful, most read articles. And they had a big live follow-up chat a week later. But basically it was this, the UVA medical school has this whole branch, like a division of perceptual studies, where they've documented since the 1960s over 2,200 cases globally of children with extremely detailed past life recall. The kids are basically between 2 and 6, and it's very scientific and detailed. 2/3 of the cases actually have identifying information, meaning they can say, I lived there, I drove that car, and they can find pictures of themselves and our historical things. But what we find is that the parents and the psychologists are delighted at age 8 when they seem to get away from this. But the guys just say, oh, they're just internalizing it. So the whole idea is to take, it's mostly trauma. They remember Holocaust, they remember being a fighter pilot in World War II, or unresolved trauma, unresolved pain. And so that's what we do in the work that we do, where they take us to, this is what happened, this is what followed you in, this is a wax buildup of fear, pain, shame, guilt, blame that you're still running with, and it's still creating these circumstances. So what would you like to do? Would you like to clear that? Yes, thank you. And we do, and you have this free will. The DNA is the stuff. I mean, they can easily trace back DNA to now 450,000 years. 1,000,000 years is I think the oldest recovered DNA in our time. And not the guys like, you haven't seen anything yet. And so basically just to know that the whole reason that we want to do this is to get to be able to live in these higher vibrations where we don't carry around that old kind of lower, we just keep creating these scenarios. And so from the sessions, I love how this is. The guides say, they'll show me a lifetime, let's say, where the person was a failure, or they were abandoned or excommunicated, or whatever the case was, killed. And they show us going to the other side, non-physical, pure positive energy. And let's have a good laugh about, what did we learn? Oh, that was awesome. I went out in flames. That's great. No hard feelings, just look what I learned. Look what I did. I'll never pick that up again. And yet, coming back into a human body with DNA in the third dimensional consciousness, the DNA says, what was that you were thinking? That you're a failure, that you're not lovable, that people leave you? Okay, we're going to put that groove back in the record and carry it around until you wake up and say, I don't need that anymore. So it's interesting when the guides always say, when you're in a human body, you have the material, the DNA, to clear anything, everything. And you don't always know what that is. When you're in the other higher dimensions, when you make your transition and you're non-physical, you have exactly the knowledge of what to clear, but you don't have the material. So that's why a lot of times when people I work with are going to clear a big pattern, their ancestors come in droves in the non-physical to thank them, because they know that it gets cleared from them. You clear up the line, down the line, and that they won't have to come in and live that anymore. And so it's just so kind of interesting. Another thing they say is having your DNA in the world as a body, even for one breath, it's like casting your vote. They're like, a lot of souls just want to come in and be a baby and have 2 breaths. Okay, voted, I'm out. Or people that hang on for a long time, say in dementia, where they have no idea who's who or what's what. Why do they hang on? They said because they want the clearing while they're in the body, so they never have to bring back anything like that again. And so this is how consciousness, and this is how humanity wakes up and changes. So it's an exhilarating time to be alive. It really is. And so there's all these kind of ways that we can do this, just even make it be fun, make it be easy. And part of it is just your willingness, your awareness and choice. Deciding, if you know that you carry a lot of shame around, okay, I'm so done with carrying this shame around. I know it's not reflective of who I am. I choose to release that. And now what would I prefer? I go forward in my new choices. So we're so empowered. And this is part of it, is waking up to our human potential and the beauty and the gift of being human and alive now in this amazing time.
Yeah, fantastic time.
So Yeah, I agree. I say this all the time because we frequently will say, a once in a lifetime event, but this is a once in infinite lifetime. But I did want to share, Melissa, like I love that the Washington Post is giving tangible validity to work that so many people have done for years that might have been seen as woo-woo and the power of it. I know I did one of your soul awakening sessions and you brought up two of my past lives that were significant, and the one was pretty intense. It was almost traumatic to hear the trauma of that past life on some level. But what was fascinating to me as you were talking about it was those were statements that I had made to myself many times in this lifetime that like you would have no idea about, right? It was about the monk. I was a monk and the vows that I had made. So I can attest, I'm not the Washington Post, but I can attest to the reality of it and just how powerful and meaningful it was. And you sent me like this crazy song. You were like, have you ever heard of Engelbert Humperdinck? I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. And the song, and I'm like, I like feel like I should know every song the man ever sang because my mother was obsessed with him. And I played the song. I looked it up and played it later. And then you sent me an email and said, I think this was a love song from your mother. And I was like, absolutely. So it was, it's just, I just want to validate the powerfulness of the work and the validity of it.
Thank you for sharing that. My gosh, I remember your session was so powerful. Yeah.
It was a bit intense in a good way. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say that to scare people off. I mean, it made an awful lot of sense of things that I deal with or was dealing with. I would say the majority of my life, it like all started to make sense and I was able to move away from those things. So I don't deal with them now.
Excellent. That's the name of the game. And so just as we elevate our consciousness, we won't even have to have any of the trauma or dredge it up or think about it because we'll be realized, actualized, just as we go with these higher frequencies. So it's amazing to think that, oh yes, this is coming and so much more. Yeah.
So there was a lady who presented first yesterday, Heather Lee Strom. She's doing some amazing work that I'm sure some people might see out there. And she does, the name of the presentation was Healing is Easy, Not Work. And she's working with these canine spirit guides. And she talks about the old way of healing, that we weren't ready for this advanced technology, but that it is instantaneous. Like we don't have to commit our lifetime to healing and work. And, I can appreciate the value of therapy. I've participated in it at different times of my life and found it to have some positive outcomes. But the whole idea that you spend a significant of your life immersed in that. And I started, as I've been on my spiritual path, is pondering if you're spending all this time focusing on your past, aren't you just recreating your past? So, it's a lot of aha moments. But I love that healing is going to be easy and instantaneous. It's like already here, but like you said, it's just coming out.
Yeah, it's getting easier and easier. I loved your presentation, by the way. That
That's
oh my
wonderful.
gosh, amazing. All of the presenters have just been amazing. So, and I think we want to know, well, where do we start? How do you begin? What do we do, guys? And so they've given us this kind of easy thing. Is one of the things is a game that they like us to play. They call it the "I Like It Like That" game. And there's the song, "I Like It Like That." There's the Latin version and the but basically what this means is they're saying we challenge you to play this game with yourself for 3 days, starting out. If you can do more, great. But basically where you're just going to be focusing on what you love, things that are flowing, things that light you up, and it's like making a list of pros and cons, but not the cons. And they're saying it's like your personal version of Sound of Music. Here, these are a few of my favorite things. And wherever you go and whatever you're eating, drinking, hearing, tasting, touching, I like it like that. I like it like that because they're saying this is like the recipe for your fantastic, flowing, beautiful life coming up. And so my husband and I in early winter, took a drive on a Sunday morning. We live near the fruit belt of central PA, which there's 10,000 acres of apple orchards. It had just snowed. So there we are, this, frosty, crisp air Sunday morning, not a car around. We didn't pass a person. And there's these rolling hills of orchards with powdered sugar sprinkled on them. I mean, the way the snow just kind of settled. We had the perfect steaming cups of coffee, and we somehow had found this playlist of music that we'd never heard before that was just perfect. So there we are, and it was so filling. It was filling all of our senses that I just said, pull over. We have to stop it. I'm like, we love it like this. And I heard my guide say, duly noted, duly noted. We're going to add that to your recipe, all of these things that fill us up. And so what you'll find is you're resetting, recalibrating your vibrational set point, and that you'll begin to see, even after 3 days, that all of a sudden you just have these grand little interactions, you have these positive things, and then you realize, like, oh, I like this. I'm going to stick with this. Like, so the reward, I mean, there's definitely payoff, but that's one of the things. It's really fun. Another thing is they're saying, well, actually, they showed me last week in a reading. I was doing a reading by Zoom for someone, never had this happen before, where as we began the reading, and she was, the energies were lifting, this big shaft of light was coming right over her right shoulder, and it began to have the appearance of an angel. And the more she spoke of things she loved and what lifted her up, not only did that energy come in and just inform the whole room, but she began to get all misty, which means her energy was rising. I could barely see her. But then as she would talk about things that weren't so pleasing, or what were troublesome, the energy would contract. Her aura would contract and the energy would dissipate. And so what my guide shared with me, we wanted to show you in real time the law of attraction. Then as you speak of what you love, it's just you have greater access to all of this and this upliftment. And as you would turn your attention otherwise, then it contracts. And so to me, that was just a profound gift. So to play that game, another thing they gave us was this has been so powerful. We did this for about a month ago, and they said, prescription pad from the guides. From here on, we want you to have one daily undoing and one daily trivial pursuit. And I'm like, okay, what is that? So they said basically the undoing is where you're making an earnest list, whether in your head or on paper, of what you want to get done that day, and you intentionally take one out. Not going to do that. You can put it back tomorrow if you want. And then the trivial pursuit is anything that you feel is non-productive. You could be binge watching something, playing a game, staring at your navel. It doesn't matter. But so we religiously, it was really hard. No, we were disciplined about doing our undoings and trivial pursuits. And what we found is after a month, both of us in our class that we teach, all of a sudden, these things that I'd been procrastinating for 6 months just got done without me even thinking. Like I had been putting off cleaning the basement, and all of a sudden one day I was like, oh, I just did that. So it's interesting when we give ourselves a little bit more space and grace, what this allows, and the guides know that, and it's like listening to that. Another thing is laughter. My mom and I, we were prone to just fits of speaking. There's no sound. We're always laughing, but the guides always say laughter is more cathartic than tears. Tears fall, laughter rises. And I know the Pleiadians have a nice quote here, which I wanted to share about this. Let's see, where was that? Okay, of course, that's the one paper I don't have, but it was basically, where is that?
Okay.
Here it is. I've got it. Okay. In order to manage the accelerated energies, take it easy, slow down, laugh, and allow yourself the luxury of actually enjoying life. Laughter keeps you young, aligns your cells, and opens your chakras for more energy to enter. And so it's more powerful than you think. I recently had the craziest thing. In my whole life, I never Googled on Spotify or searched, laughter tracks or clean humor soundtrack or whatever. But one day I was driving to a party at my mom's, had this all queued up, didn't listen to it, got to my mom's and ate something that I really became super ill. I mean, in fact, she was threatening, you've got to go to the hospital. I mean, I was really ill. And everybody around me was worried, my pauses were weak, all these, and I really felt horrible, like I couldn't move. And so I somehow threw up a few times, and because my mom said, you're not going anywhere, it's an hour drive home. Okay, we're going to take you to the ER. So after throwing up, I felt a little bit better, and I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go home. And so she's like, no. I get in my car, and somehow I put that laughter, the comedy track on, and by the time I got home, I mean, I was just laughing at everything. Never had done this before. By the time I got home, 1 hour, I felt perfect. So and Byron Katie, master teacher on our planet, had talked about when she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she just laughed at the doctor. Of course, he thought she was crazy, but she genuinely laughed, and it couldn't abide. And she was taking a walk with her best friend in the desert one day, and he had a heart attack, and they were miles away from any help. And so she just started laughing. And he was like, how dare you? I'm dying. Help me. How dare you laugh at me? And she just kept laughing. And then he laughed, and they both got up and walked on. There's something about the high vibration. And the guides say that laughter literally puts you in the now moment. There's no past, there's no future. And of course, all power is in the now. And your spirits are so bright with laughter. So don't estimate the power of laughter, but also quieting your mind, meditating, just enjoying life. If you're in a good mood, you know that, okay, this is my zone. This is what is going to help me focus into these higher levels of dimensional consciousness. And of course, we definitely want to touch on the astrology. We have some very exciting things to show you. We have Dr. Sandra's charts.
Yeah.
And one thing we want to talk about is the guides have inspired us with downloads, and it's something that we call AWEstrology. And they're saying, we're giving you this because it's astrology that you will be embracing as your identity in the higher dimensional awareness, these 5D consciousness. So they're saying it's really like astrology for where you're going. And the more you practice it, and these simple exercises. But basically, AWEstrology, all stands for Awakened Wayfinders Evolving. So we've got your current chart, your natal chart, and we've got your AWEstrology chart. And Coco is going to really get us into some of this. But let me see if I could share my screen to show you these charts here.
And while she's doing that, looking at the natal chart, we'll just kind of not get deep into it, but there's plenty that we can give. And as far as kind of events that are happening in the big picture for the world, that Pluto went into the sign of Aquarius, and it signals the beginning of the age of Aquarius, and we can all sing that song and be happy. But as it goes in there, we began the United States chart. See, everything has a chart. Everything's born at a time. And with the United States, we were born with the Revolutionary War. So what does that tell you right off the bat? Revolutionary War takes 248 years for Pluto to start where it was in the chart and make its way all the way around. It's a big cycle. Everything is a cycle. It starts, it ends, you start again. And so when it came back to where it is, again, we are at a point in our history or our culture where the revolution is here. I mean, we're looking at like an old way is dying, and we're creating a vision for the next new one. And that's why the energy is kind of jolty beyond the point. So we're working on that. And the more people that can hold that vision of the next year or the next life that we want to have, is going to be peaceful, plenty. Everyone will be fed, clothed, housed, and they will be happy. So we're looking at if we can create that in our own life, that puts that energy into the world for this next time. We have the energy of Uranus, which is the disruptor, but it's the awakener. And everyone says, well, we're awakening. Humanity is awakening. There are more and more people interested in astrology, which is a blueprint or guide to what the energies really are about. And we have the planet Saturn, which creates structure. And right now in the sky, Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, along with a ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. And it says spirituality is where it's at. But it's kind of a high frequency, high level energy where you can drop off the end of it. It's like we're going to be checking and becoming real reality, practicality about our illusions, so that we can create the next spirituality level with just, it's going to be different. Our belief systems are just kind of getting lifted up so you can kind of look at them and see, does this really make any sense? So all of the energies out there are creating this flow of energy where we can really move into whatever is next. And we're the creators of that. It's exciting.
Yes, it is, very much.
So looking at your chart, this chart here this is like your natal chart. When you were born, this was where you came in. And so it says, I come in with the sun sign in Leo. I'm a Leo person. I inspire people. I'm fiery. I have a lot of passion for everything that I do. And so with that sun there, you also added that disruptor awakener. And so it makes your work and your beingness, your personality, a little bit unusual. For you walk to the beat of a different drummer, and everybody knows this. So
it's a fair statement.
So to do a natal chart, we usually just look at 3 different things to start with. It's like, where's your sun, Leo? Where's your moon? And your moon happens to be in the sign of Aquarius. So you're already a child of the Aquarian energy. The moon represents your emotional body. And then the rising sign, which is like where the first house is. And if you're not familiar with charts, we're not going to go into a lot of that stuff, okay? But your rising sign, your ascendant, is in the sign of Cancer. And what I like to do is, like, after we talk about those basic things, and most of the people that I work with, you've been, a Leo person for a long time, so you know how Leo runs. So I don't have to dwell on that. So I will look to see, well, where are planets as they move? They call them transits, because this is like yourself. You stay there, and everything runs around you. And so we look at the different cycles and the phases of your life, because astrology is the timer. And so looking at this chart now, we have Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. It's not sitting on your moon yet. It's going to be a while. But like it's sparking things. And wherever Pluto is out there, it transforms something. Takes this old energy, mixes it up, changes it, and transforms something. It's beyond changing your clothes. This is like big time. So we look at that, and we have the Saturn and Neptune that we were talking about. It's up at the top of your chart in Pisces. So it says the spiritual aspect of things. I want to expand, I want to explore it, and I want to share it. That's the energy of that. And the Uranus and Mars, this is a big thing that's getting ready to happen Monday. Out there in the world, it's like Mars is hooked up with Uranus. So who knows what's going to happen, because you never know with Uranus. But that's in the house, like the 11th house. And each one of these boxes is a house. That's what we call them. This is the permanent house, and you just visit it. and you have these people come in and party out and help you understand it. So you have this Uranus and Mars up in the 11th house, which is how do I share? Well, look at you. You have a stomach. You know,
Wow.
it's like, whoa.
And I'm
It's
already being nudged by
to do another
the
one.
unseen to do another. I'm like, I haven't even finished this one.
Yes. And so the planet Jupiter has moved into that 11th house and it's adding to it. And Jupiter is now in an air sign. So airwaves, we're sending this out. So everything that you're about at this particular time, because I don't want to go into big time depth with it, is just like where you are now. It's just fantastic. And now,
And
what
now,
we do
now,
is
Drum roll.
drum roll is like bring in the astrology, awakened, wayfinders, evolving astrology. And this is information that Melissa has been getting from the guides to help us. We created a class, and there's like a basic core group of like 12 people that consistently come, and each month the guides are giving us information about what this really means on a deeper level and for the advanced consciousness, put it that way. So we changed your chart. We we made it a whole house. And there are so many ways of astrologers look at charts. This one that we're looking at right now is a Placidus kind of a pattern. And what we're doing is going to whole house, which means that instead of 28 degrees Cancer on your ascendant, it's going to be zero Cancer. So can you get that one up, Myers?
yeah, I thought I did, but it's not up.
No, it's still the 28-degree one.
Oh boy, let's see. How
Ah,
about, did it change? Share. Oh, okay. What about now?
now we're cooking.
Okay, cool.
So are you familiar with your chart, Dr. Sandra?
A little bit.
Okay, so it changed things.
Yeah, look where your sun is now. It's not in the first house.
It's not in the first house.
Woo
It
woo.
moved into the second house, and then other things moved into the third. Everything like shifted a little bit. So we're just going to go into what we're being taught, and we're all the way up to Cancer energy, because the guides have been giving us the astrological sign. When we went into Aries in the spring, we're going to go house number 1. And then each time there's a sun moves into a different constellation, we're going to give you the information. We're only up to Cancer because this is Cancerian time.
Okay.
Makes sense?
I feel like Cancer's always had a lot of influence in my chart. But I see there's some interesting geometry. I don't know what that means.
It
Lots
means
of triangles.
Yes, that's good.
stuff.
Basically, to talk about the way the guides have been sharing all astrology and like your wholeness going into these higher levels of dimensional consciousness, you've got on the first house here, this is Cancer, which is your rising sign in the traditional, but basically the way they want you to look at this is who you knew yourself to be so strongly before you just think you went from non-physical and you expressed yourself into physical form in this lifetime. So they're saying, and science says this, the odds of you being born were 400 trillion to 1. So imagine your guide saying to you, okay, you can come in and be Dr. Sandra Marie Robinson, but the odds against you being that are 400 trillion to 1. But you were so sure and confident in who you were as this Cancerian energy. You're like, no problem, I'm there. And so you came in. And so this is like your alchemy fire, what created your life. So of course, Cancer, you're like, understatement. Cancer energy is definitely like part and parcel of who you are. So unbelievably powerful. And then if we look at the second house, which is this one, this was the first house, and now this is the second one. Now in the higher consciousness, your sun and Uranus and this Pluto are now in the second house. So Sandra, this is so exciting because so your full light, the light of who you are, and all of this being a way shower and a vision a wayfinder, a visionary, has moved into this house of loving life and making manifest, and real. You've got
Wow.
wealth, and you've got your sun shining in every area that you want it to shine, and it's in the world. You're showing up in the world as who you are, and it's a wonderful, beautiful, regal energy, as well as somebody who just loves to have one hell of a good life and be connected and live, and it's just so exciting. Like, all of this energy in this house is about everything you want to build and make manifest and help the world with. It's your service to humanity, and doing it as such a light, the light that you are. So are you as excited as I am just talking about it?
Absolutely. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these things are going to happen. They
Yeah,
are happening.
Right.
they are happening. And then if we look at the third house, which is this next house, and look at all these, what we call multipliers in here, you have Mars and you have Mercury and you have Venus, but this house is Virgo. And I mean, oh my gosh. So this is amazing. This house represents your how. How are you going to express the who and the why? Because the second house that we just mentioned was your why. Why do I want to come into the world? Because it's so beautiful and it's so incredible and you can have everything you want. And now this is like, well, how will I do it? And you've got Virgo here and all of this energy and the way that you think and what you love and your fiery, passionate nature. And the way you said you'll do it is, I'm going to be a healer and I'm going to be of service and I'm going to be so skilled and adept that just the way I live and breathe and show up is I'm a healer. I bring beauty and order, and I could just get it done. I can make it happen. Just think of what you did with this summit. And I share and I disseminate myself, my spirituality, and the healing nature that I am. And it's what I love to do. And I mean, my God,
It is the mission, and I am passionate about it.
yes. And
Yeah.
then this fourth house, and this is where we are in this astrology here, is you've got Jupiter. This is Libra here on the cusp of this, and you've got Jupiter, which is expansion and good luck and good fortune, and Libra. And basically, the guide said in the new astrology, this is your sanctuary, and this is your home, and this is what makes you feel like you belong in this world and what you love about this world. And so you love harmony, you love beauty, you love to be of service and lift other people up so that they can succeed. You love your mind is like the steel trap, this amazing, like nothing gets by you, and you love learning and you're so curious and you love harmony. You love harmony in the world, peacefulness and balance and fairness, and especially the beauty and love and connection. So you have that and then some, and that is what makes you feel truly safe and secure and loved. And it's just so, you can tell I get,
You can't even, it's like I'm looking at this thinking you can't make this up.
it's
Yeah.
just so exhilarating. So you can even feel, I'm feeling the goosebumps of, yes, this is the truth of who you are. So, and Coco, I'm sure you have some things to add about this too.
Right. Looking at the way this is, it's like each house stays the same. Like that first house is Aries. I had this big epiphany this morning when I woke up of how to kind of explain this, because the house is always there. It's just like your house is where it is and that's where it stays. So it's an Aries house, it's a fire house. So when you came in as who you are, it's like you add all that beautiful Cancerian energy to fire, because that's what Aries is about. It's passion. And so the who of who you are is in that first house. The second house by nature is Taurus. It's like an earth sign. So you put all that beautiful Leo energy in earth and said, practical ways that I can do this, I can, and the people, the planets that you put in there that are partying out in there, they are helping you to put your energy out there in the world in a way that is practical and of service and of great value, as you move into the world. And so that's like why you came in. So I can smell flowers and I can do all these things that only on earth can you do. I mean, those on the other side, they can watch us and they can do this and that, but they can't walk on that ground. They can't feel the earth. They can't see. They can't hear the way we can. So it's a magnificent house, and it's always going to be that second house. The third house is like, how did you come in to express? And it's an air sign house. It's usually Gemini rules that. And Gemini is about talking and social interaction and like your everyday life and how you write, how you express, how you talk. And so the how you do all these things, and then you move into, well, what makes me feel safe? And that's usually a Cancerian house, your home. And that's where your sanctuary is. And you find that sanctuary and that safeness in being the diplomat and being the balanced and harmonious, beautiful person. I've listened to you interact with the summit people, and you are just such a diplomat and just so gentle and so curious and so right there. And I just look, wow, that Libra intellect is just like Jupiter. It's really fantastic. So looking at where transits are in this chart, it's like they're in a little bit different place. I don't know if you can move the chart down just a tad, so we can see where Pluto is right now. It's up in the eighth house, which is kind of an unconscious house. It's out there. It's the inner world. It's this world. It's that world. And it's like you're bringing information in the mass consciousness, we'll put it that way, that you can reach. It's just like a fantastic way to have that energy in there. You have your moon, your emotions, and you love this stuff, man. you know? And so looking at the ninth house, which is the next one up, that's where Saturn and Neptune are at the moment. And they're coming into the top of that. And it's all about the spirituality. It's all about the magnificence of what we really came in to be and to do. And then you have your Uranus, Mars, like in the house of Taurus, which is still the 11th house. It's like you do this in a practical way. You share with the masses what you learned and how you can help people understand who they are. And then your Jupiter has actually moved into the 12th house for you now. And the Jupiter in there is just saying, I am bringing so much stuff from the mysteries of who I really am. It's just like, this is where I hear, oh, you're going to do another summit.
Okay.
And how you can bring that energy out. So that's just a little short way to see what's going on, but it's just an awe-inspiring kind of chart. And the way we do astrology with this astrology is different. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because everything is evolving and changing. And, there's been some conversation and, I've asked some questions. It makes sense to me that the astrology is going to transform, transmutate, and change as we know it also.
Yeah.
So you guys are already there. Like you're one step ahead of my wondering, is this going to happen? Because it is happening.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and it makes difference. Yeah, that makes so much sense because it's all a different vibration energy and it's a higher level. I love it.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end. I see the next speakers in the green room, but there's a couple of things that I want to ask you, even if we go over a few minutes, is when Steve Koch and I were talking yesterday, and he was talking a little bit about his journey, he had mentioned that he's doing some volunteer work for hospice, and he talked a little bit about, what it was like to work with people who were actively transitioning. And, I had mentioned I also have done some service in that area. And I did mention your next grand adventure, but I feel like I didn't quite give it the due respect that it needed when I tried to explain it. Mm-hmm. So just because I brought it up yesterday, could you guys touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, by the way, thank you. I was listening and I really appreciated the shout out. So next grand adventure is something else that the guides brought us as a download, a turnkey kind of like, here you go. If you like this. And basically, next grand adventure is for those that know they're not long for this world. So let's say you're 110 and probably eventually you're going to leave, or you've gotten a diagnosis, or for whatever reason. And so we don't need to actually connect with the person in person, or we don't need to talk with them, but basically we just need their, okay, yes, I'd like this next grand adventure reading. And so I do the kind of the channeled spoken recording, and Coco does the artwork, the spirit inspired artwork. And basically what we found, and talk about high dimensional consciousness, these are so joyful, it's beyond anything that you could even imagine. But basically, like, what we found is, for that person, the guides will talk about the easiest way for that person to leave the body. I know they've said, for one person that was very obese, said just step out of it like a wet bathing suit. Another one, a friend of ours, actually was a human cannon, and she was going from this side to the other. And when they said, when we press the trigger, or when you hear the pop, you go. And so that's the way it was. I mean, it was kind of amazing. So they'll give information also about who's going to be greeting you. And many times they'll say, grandmother is going to have on her pink shirt with her yellow necklace, and she's going to be the first one. She got special permission, or whatever, or your great aunt. They'll say this is what to look for to make it easy for your transition. And they talk about, well, what was this life about? What did you learn? What's your bag of tricks and wisdom that you got, and how wonderful that is? But also, what's your next grand adventure? And I know I've worked with some people that were pilots in this lifetime, and that doesn't go away. And now they say, oh my gosh, now I'm flying these craft that I could never even explain. I keep going. My dad, shout out to Robert Abel,
Yes.
in Heavenly Realms. Today would have been his 87th birthday. He recently came through and said that he's halfway to be getting his quote diploma to be a guide, a spirit guide.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, it's his greatest service. He left very quickly, and he said one of his favorite things is to help, especially younger people, children that leave the physical quickly, because he says it can be kind of disorienting. So he really loves that. So these next grand adventure packages, we just love it so much. But they really do, it's a very practical way, and it's not for people to help them understand I'm leaving, or to cope with it. It's really about, hey, this is what you got going on. This is where you're going. It's so exciting. Of course, you never die. So we just find that the exhilaration and the joy when we do these is off the charts, right, Coco? I mean,
it is off the charts. It's wonderful, wonderful.
So thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you for explaining it a little bit better than I did. So real quick, I do want to thank both of you. I appreciate you being here. What's next? What's next on the horizon for both of you? You both always have so much going on.
Yeah, well, we're into the Astrology and next grand adventure, and then I have in mind to kind of do a phase workshop, like taking the phases of the moon and doing ages with that. And then I love the medicine wheel, and get people associated with the ceremony that a medicine wheel is with Mother Earth.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel like the time has come for that. That you're gonna be seeing a lot of interest with that. That speaks to me a lot. Yeah.
Definitely. And I still really love doing the one-on-one sessions. So I offer soul awakenings sessions, and also just private reading, if you need a kind of a catch up, or a what about now, the guides tease me and they say everybody's reading is really called, Sandra's reading or Melissa. It's unique to them. It's not like a cookie cutter. So I love that. And we love the classes and the teaching, and it's just having fun, looking for fun, and expanding as much as we can, and just loving life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love both of you. Thank you so much for your time, and until next time.
Thank you so much. We're so honored. Thank you, everyone, very much. So take care.
Hi, beautiful souls. Dr. Sandra Marie here. I wanted to take this time to promote Jim Sells from Mastering Alchemy's Project Park Bench. We frequently discuss how there's so many different paths, so many different roads to get to consciousness, and mastering alchemy has been one of mine. I'm feeling really passionate about this project of world service. It is free, and it's our opportunity to be a creator in moving humanity forward. I've engaged in previous park bench projects with Mastering Alchemy. If you're not able to attend the live sessions, they're all recorded for your convenience, and the recordings are just as powerful. It's our opportunity to influence and make a difference. Enjoy this promotional video. See you on the other side. A physical park bench is optional.
The world is changing. It is transitioning. The game of domination and greed of the few, creating isolation, loneliness, fear, and lack for the many, is coming to an end. It appears to be getting worse, but it is coming to a completion. And simultaneously, a new light, a new realm of consciousness, a realm unlike that which is falling away, is now appearing. A new world built upon agreement, opportunity, oneness, respect is now coming into form. Not as hope, but as a physical experience of possibility. This creation is about you, about each of us. This is why we came here. This is why you are here at this time. We as spiritual beings came to bring into physical consciousness a new architecture. One without fear, one that has been dreamt for many, many eons of time. A landscape that is built upon respect, appreciation, laughter, co-creation, and well-being. We're inviting you to join us to sit with thousands of others once again on the park bench, all in agreement, not as a hopeful meditation, but as an intentional, conscious co-creation. No longer as just a thought, but as a tangible experience that we all have always known is possible. So please, come create with us in this project, where two or more are gathered in service to humanity and the earth.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Wild Soul Gatherings Happy Hour for the Spiritually Curious. To learn more about our guests, please go to our website, wildsoulsgathering.com. We're very eager to hear from our listeners what you thought of the episode, topics you might like us to cover in the future, your thoughts on spirituality, questions you may have. Please feel free to send us an email at wildsoulsgathering@gmail.com. This is your host, Dr. Sandra Marie, sending each of you peace and love. Until we meet again, embrace your wild soul.